Please, in the comment section, kindly confirm that you can see my screen. No audio yet. We are still setting up, please. We are still setting up. I'm asking if you can see my screen. If you can see my screen, that is the number one thing. Then I will now start and I talk about if I'm audible. Yes, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, the YouTube link is what I've shared with us now. I'm trying to set up so that everything will be in shape before we commence the training section. Yes, we've reached the maximum capacity now, and whew, I wasn't expecting this. Uh, so we reached the maximum capacity already. So if you come across the link, kindly exercise patience so that we'll start the training session very soon. We are already at 100. I'm trying to create the link. I'm trying to share it so that those that can meet up, we will be able to join. We'll be able to join on YouTube. All right, the link will be shared across now to all groups. But for now, let us start this section. You're welcome to this wonderful class. This section is going to be a practical exploration of what ISO 19011-2026 means for a modern auditor. What does it mean for an auditor in the 21st century? This is not where we're going to talk about, we'll be reading clause by clause reading exercise. It is about building auditing capacity and capability for a more digital, risk sensitive, and a complex environment. This is the new edition, and we are going to explore how the new edition changes the way we plan, we conduct, we report, and we improve management system audit. And it's going to be a very wonderful and enlightenment section. I want you to please take your notes, jot things down, write, and ensure that you follow through this training section. But before I move on, I would like you to understand some basics. There are several changes. However, to start this wonderful course that you are going through now, there are three most important changes in the ISO 19011-2026. And one of those changes is the subject of remote and hybrid audit, which has received greater emphasis and which is one of the most significant change in the formal integration of remote and hybrid auditing practices. Remote auditing, virtual auditing has become a thing in the 21st century that we cannot do without. While also the previous edition acknowledged remote auditing as a complementary approach, the new version now treats it as a core structure and established audit methodology. Yes, that we now have a formal audit approach that can be done remotely. So this revised standard expands on guidance that regards to information and communication technologies, which is ICT, because if you're talking about virtual, we definitely mean we are using technology, information technology, communication technology to carry out this virtual auditing. The virtual locations, the video conferencing tools that you can use, and also digital evidence sharing, then assessment of virtual activities and virtual environment. So there is clearer guidance for determining when remote, on-site, hybrid audit method are appropriate and applicable. Also, it is also emphasis on the digital competency, which is now more explicitly addressed as part of auditor competence requirements. These are the core that we have now. Number two is the risk-based thinking, which has become stronger. Risk-based thinking is or has always been one of the principles in auditing. For those that have gone through an auditor training, you will understand that principle of auditors. We will go through them as we go on in this class. The risk-based thinking has become stronger. There's continuous engagement, importance of risk management across all management systems. And this ISO 19011 reinforces this particular trend. There is all, like I said, in the previous version we have, that is the 2018 version, we have the risk based thinking as an auditor principle. There's an expansion of this concept which is more detailed and more comprehensive and has practical recommendations. We are talking about risk-based thinking. We are talking about various aspects like planning your audit, the audit program, audit methodology, risk that comes from your audit evidence. We are talking about risk. We are talking about what could affect the success of your audit. We're still going to go into that as we go on in this particular training section. Then the third one is talking about information security, which is now receiving additional attention. Due to digital audit, due to virtual auditing, evidence can be sent remotely. How do we ensure information security? I call it information secrecy. Information security, which has become a major focus of this 2026 version. And also, as organizations as increasingly rely on data technologies and remote auditing, especially based on various factors that can lead to remote audit activities that have been taking place right from the COVID era, where we had a huge number of virtual audits, and remote auditing methodologies has been integrated, which gave rise to concerns regarding data confidentiality, privacy of information, cybersecurity, which has become much more significant. So how do you protect audit information? How do you improve on confidentiality, which is one of the principles of auditing? And also, how do you secure storage of audit records digitally and access control to audit evidence and governance issues when it comes to audit-related information? So these are the overview of what this 2026 version of the guideline for auditing management system. And this is where we are going to start our section today. Before we begin, let us look at the auditor's reality check. The environment we audit is changing faster than many audit systems. There are different approach to auditing and there are different audit systems. In the traditional way where we carry out our audit, we are always focused, most times, if not all the time, we are checklist focused, checklist driven. We are checklist focused, we are checklist driven, and it's one of the traditional methodologies. We are also evidence focused, site dependent, clause centered. We are not saying that this is not existing or not sufficient anymore. What we are saying now is that there is now additional ways, new ways, and new approach to make our audit much more effective. I'm seeing some comment in the I'm seeing some comments saying that they can't see my screen. Please, if you can see my screen, please type yes in the chat room. If you can see my screen, please let us type yes in the chat room. I want to ensure that I carry everybody along. So if a couple of persons can see my screen, it means that please check your end so that you won't disrupt the class. You won't use your personal challenges that you have there, maybe your network, to disrupt the main training section so that we won't be going back and forth. We have a lot to cover in a short period of time and it's going to be intense. So please be sure that you are not the only one having that challenge and not disrupt so that you won't disrupt the training session. Thank you. In the 2026 version, the 2026 auditor, you need to have, there's a shift to risk intelligence. What it means is that from the planning of your audit to the conducting of your audit to monitoring of your audit activity to reporting of your audit to conducting audit follow-up, you need to look at what are the risks that are involved. Your risk involvement, your risk analysis should not stop at the planning of your audit. At the point of implementing our audit program, what can affect the success of this audit? What can affect the outcome of our audit activity? What can influence the reality, the success rate of our audit activity? All this must be looked into. That is the additional factors we are looking at in the 21st century in this 2026 version. We are not saying that in the older version is not there, but there is greater emphasis because we now have issue of technology due to remote auditing. So you need to be sensitive to remote auditing also. You need to be sensitive to the factors that can affect your hybrid auditing or remote audit activity. Then technology aware, which is one of the new inclusion in the 2026 that has more emphasis. Technology aware. You need to be aware of the latest and recent technology when it comes to remote auditing. Then context focus. You need to be context, understand the context of what you are auditing and the audit activity that's taking place. Then also judgment driven. As an auditor, you need to be able to make judgment. You need to be able to place your judgment and have the right judgment for your audit activity because you are at liberty. You are at liberty to look at the evidence provided for you and the criteria you're auditing against and look at both and tell if and make a judgment if the evidence addresses the requirement or not. So you are also focused on judgment and all your audit must be judgment driven and not based on what you feel like. This training that you are going through now, what are you going to leave here with at the end of this training? You know, the concept of awareness is very important. We need to create awareness about new trends, and that means that you as a professional, you need to gain competence in this regard. And you need to also, much more important, in as much as you need to be trained, you need to receive training like you are doing now. Application is very important. And one beautiful thing about this new version is that there is no transition period, unlike the regular 3-year transition period for the ISO 14001, 2026. You know, those ones, they are implemented. They are what you implement. They are what you get audited against. They are requirements that companies get certified to. For auditing management system, no companies get certified to them. So those ones will require transition period of 3 years. But for this, your transition is immediate. There is no time to say you want to transition for a period of time. So at the end of this, you need to understand what has changed. What has changed? What is the new trend? You need to have knowledge of applicability, what it means to your auditing activity, what it means to you as an auditor. Then what do you need to update? What do you need to improve? What do you need to add to your process? Then how do you lead your system? How do you stay ahead when it comes to auditing management system? This will make you to be able to make better audit decision as an auditor. That is what we are talking about. So the big question is, what makes an auditor to be a successful auditor? Many a times, you see auditors, they believe so much in technical knowledge. Yes, I have the technical knowledge. I understand clause 4. Clause 4.1 talks about context. These are the evidence that you should look out for. Clause 6.2 talks about action talks about setting objective. Clause 4.4 talks about the management system. Clause 7, you are able to understand the clauses from clause 4.1 to clause 10. You know you have the technical knowledge and you understand the process, the industry, the processes that you want to audit. We know you have all of this. But beyond just that technical knowledge, auditor experience is very important. Auditor experience is also very important. That is why it is also very important that as auditor, you give opportunities. Don't even wait till you are being called by by someone to come and audit an organization. In your own organization that you have, volunteer to be an auditor in training. Do something. Tell the top management that you want to carry out audit of your process. Implement what you have learned gradually. Don't wait till you are being called for a certification audit, because that is what most of us wait for. Do the little you can do, even if it's gap analysis. As far as you are doing it in a way that you apply the knowledge of auditing, you are going to do a whole lot. Auditor experience is very important. The answer is bigger than just the technical knowledge. It is bigger, definitely much more bigger than much more robust than the technical knowledge. Communication is another very important part. And that is where the soft skills comes in. How do you communicate? What kind of auditor are you? Are you the auditor that says audit as, I'm here as an auditor? Everyone run, run, run. The auditor is here. You start raising your shoulders around, causing disruption of the work activities. You need to think beyond the certificates. Oh, how this training, I get certificate. You need to think beyond the clauses of the standard, the knowledge of the clauses. A modern auditor must obtain reliable evidence, be able to interpret risk to your audit activity, be able to exercise judgment. That is where the fourth one comes in. Judgment, professional judgment. Be able to apply professional judgment as an auditor. What does this requirement says? What does it mean? What is interpretation? The way you interpret the requirement of a standard, a criteria, might not be the same to different organizations based on their complexity of their processes and the context of the organization. Even though they produce similar products, they deliver similar services, due to one or two reasons, it can even be based on their location, some requirement might not be applicable to them. So you must be able to make judgments based on what you have as evidence and create confidence in the audit process. You need to take charge of your audit activity. This is what makes you an exceptional auditor. The knowledge, the judgment, and the adaptability as an auditor. ISO certification, for example, whether it's 9001, 22000, 14001, 45001, and different standard that you have it, no matter the standard, ISO standard, the clauses, the context, the requirement is the same. It is the applicability that matters. Whether it's in the food industry, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in construction, whether it's in oil and gas, it is the interpretation of the requirement that now differs. So you must be versatile, adaptability, understand. You can't have knowledge of all the industries. You can have knowledge of every industry: aviation, construction, manufacturing, fleet management, telecommunication, banking industry. You can't have experience across board, but you must be versatile to understand that this criteria, this particular requirement, this should be the interpretation when it comes to this organization. It is very important. That adaptability and being versatile is a skill that you need to embrace as an auditor. Like I said, the transition period is not what you say you want to start transitioning for a period of time. Maybe, okay, let's say I still have a period of 3 years. No, immediate transitioning from the previous 2018 version to 2026 that we have now. You need to transition immediately. You need to start implementing, look at how it applies to your job, how it applies to your role, how it applies to your audit activity. You can be working in an organization and you have 5 locations, one in Kenya, one in the US, one in Canada, one in Abuja, one in Lagos, one in different parts of the world, and you'll be able to carry out audit activity across board based on the 2026 version. So there is a revolution. There's an evolution of from 2018 to 2026, which has given rise to changes that have practical implication for your audit reporting, for your program risk, for your method selection. What method are you using? Are you using physical auditing or virtual or a combination of both? The competency requirement and how do you communicate from the planning of your audit to the conducting of your audit to the reporting of your audit to audit follow-up. How do you communicate across board? This is what we are talking about. The shift is there now. There are shift in terminology too. There are some changes in some terminologies, just in how we define times and the terminologies that we use when it comes to audit. Many of these things they've been there. They've been there before. We've been doing them even before, since 2018 to 2026. Some requirements that are now formally stated are things that we've been doing already, just that it hasn't been integrated into the new version, but now we now have it. Many of these things they've been happening, and we've been doing them already for many of us that are auditors. So we understand this trend that many of these things are what we've been doing already. We've been conducting remote auditing, and we've been carrying out our auditing remotely and giving report and understand the risk to remote auditing and putting it as part of our risk, because there is an approach to auditing. When you establish your audit activity, your audit activity, you identify the risk, you set objective, then you plan your audit activity, your audit program, and you follow up and you implement your audit program, and you monitor your audit program. All of this, from beginning to the end, we have been able to integrate. When we are having remote auditing, what are the challenges that you can have, and how do you address it? There have been a shift in terminology, which I'm going to talk about in the next couple of slides. So remote auditing is now a thing. It's something that has been existing already, even though there's expanded guidance on how to specifically carry out remote auditing. Risk-based thinking is now strengthened. In earlier version, there have been risk-based thinking. In fact, risk-based approach is one of the principles. For those that understand the principle of auditing: integrity, fair presentation, due professional care, confidentiality, independence, evidence-based approach, and risk-based approach. They've been there already as our principle of auditing. But risk-based approach are now gain more strength because of the versatile, the now formal integration of the remote auditing has given rise to understanding risk that could affect the success of your auditing. These major changes are interconnected, like technology, risk-based thinking, remote auditing, understand the risk. Now technology, competency that is needed to address it, because it's a risk. If your auditors are not competent, imagine you have an auditor that wants to carry out interview remotely but do not understand how to even start up a Zoom meeting or use the agreed remote access, maybe Google Meet, Zoom, or a particular software that the auditor is using or the auditee is using, and doesn't know how to use it, the audit will flop. It doesn't know how to maybe there's a platform or there's a cloud-based system where the evidence will be shared remotely for confidentiality matter, but it doesn't even know how to log in or how to start it or how to access the document. It will make the audit to flop. So you must understand the technology and the competency in achieving that, or in being able to access that technology. And the competency, you should now ensure that any auditor you are selecting is competent to carry out that audit using the technology that you want to put in or that you are going to use. So that is understanding the risk of having an auditor that is not competent in the technology. You can see the interconnection. Supply chain, second party focus. It's focused on second party, and also evidence now has sharper controls because of remote guides. Because we've had situation where remote auditing has become an issue. Has become an issue. Now, remote auditing, risk, technology, supply chain, evidence management all push the auditor towards a more contextual and deliberate approach. You need to be more deliberate about your audit activity. And what are those change in language? Like we said, language change behavior. A change in a word can influence or can change the pattern of things. It it influences how people understand roles, scope, and outcome. So all these small changes, all these small word changes that can look small can create a big process change. When we are using the word audit, there's a change to calling it auditing. You are not carrying out audit, you are carrying out auditing because it's a continuous activity. Auditee, we use the word auditee. You are the auditee, you are the auditee, we are the auditor. It is more appropriate now to use the terminology organization. You are auditing an organization. You are not just auditing an auditee. Because when you say auditee, most times it brings that kind of hierarchy. Yeah, I'm the auditor, you are the auditee. I'm the interviewer, you are the interviewee. So it creates that gap, and it doesn't create that fluidity in communication to be able to allow the person you are auditing to be able to flow with you, because you have used the term auditee like a subordinate. But when you say organization, it gives them that perception of a team rather than auditing an individual, because that's another challenge. Because when you see someone is an auditee, you are referring most times or sometimes it gives the perception that you are auditing a person, you are the auditee, I'm the auditor. But when you say organization, it means that the person you are auditing will not only see it as you are auditing him or she as an individual, but you are auditing their organization. That shift in word in terminology is very important. And the external provider, which is now termed as supply chain, the extent of audit is now talking about scope. What is the scope of audit? Then outcome of your audit is now seen as the result of your audit. These are just changing words, changing terminology, but the applicability and the meaning has now expanded to give rise to accommodating people, accommodating those that you are auditing, and making the audit much more focused. Good auditing is now more contextual. It is much more contextual, and you need to have that mindset. As an auditor, what are the areas of your auditor audit intelligence? Number one, the organization. Like we said, it's no more auditee. You must understand the organization. These are the four core areas that you need to look out for. These are the four core areas that you need to look out for. These are the four core areas. You can call it TORS, TORS, or you can call it CROT, CROT, whatever terminology you want to use. Just use the terminology that will make you to remember. The first one is O, the organization. The next one is the risk. The risk in ensuring that you have a successful audit activity, that you have a successful audit activity. Then number three, consequence. What is the consequence if I make this decision? If we plan this audit this particular way, this evidence that I'm taking, this judgment that I'm placing, do I understand the consequence? If I select a wrong sample, do I understand the consequence? If I don't carry out the audit the way I'm supposed to carry out the audit, do I understand the consequence? Then technology. Understanding technology is also one of the auditor intelligence that you must know in this 2026 audit. I don't want to say 21st century because the 2018 version is still is it 21st century. But understand the better information there. The better information here is that in this latest version, as an intelligent auditor, you need to understand the organization. Do some research before you audit. Understand the risk that could affect the success of your audit. Risk is not only the physical audit activity, but if you are integrating remote auditing, understand the risk. Risk now gain much more emphasis. Then understand the consequence of not carrying out your audit activity and understand technology when it comes to your auditing. You must understand more than the requirement. You must understand more than the clauses. You must understand more than just ISO, the clause 6.1, clause 7.2, competence, clause 8.1, operational planning and control, clause 9, this and that. You must understand more than those things. You must understand the organization that you want to audit. You must understand their processes. These are things that you need to understand. Ask them when you first have your contact, you first get contact with them. Ask them about all of this. Seek evidence of their of their existing processes. Let them share you their process map. Let them define their processes to you, their key activities, all their SOPs. Let them share all of these things to you so that you're able to understand their processes and what they do. Go to their website, do research about their activity, the technology supporting the processes, and the risk created by the audit itself. You must understand all of these. These are the mindset we are talking about. And this is the new audit reality. You may be auditing a process a physical process or a process physically, and you'll be using remote method. You have a physical location, a physical process, maybe their equipment or their facility, and you can be using a remote method. You can be reviewing digital evidence and access. They can even give you an access to AI supporting system that can create that supporting system to carry out the audit, all within one audit. That is why that competence must therefore extend beyond the traditional auditing techniques. Because in modern auditing, you can now carry out audit physically, you can carry out audit virtually, you can be auditing processes where the evidence they will give you is digital processes, and systems that are even AI enabled. You will not know. An organization can have a system. Yeah, AI can be positive. Yes, it is very positive. But imagine that you ask them for a particular SOP. Please, do you have SOP for this? And they show you immediately, or the system show you the SOP. Meanwhile, there's an AI system that automatically generated. Maybe they even set it to even read, to even detect your question. Then within seconds, the AI will generate it, create the SOP for you, and send it to you. And you be like, wow, you have everything I am asking for. Meanwhile, it was AI generated, but you are not aware because they have an AI supporting system that have been extended to carry out the activity. I'm not saying that is what happens, but you must think of the risk. Because we are in the world of technology, what can this company do that might affect the sample that you are evaluating? So it must go beyond just the physical. You must also ensure that whatever documentation they show to you, you must see physical evidence of implementation. Are you flowing with me? If you are flowing with me, kindly type yes in the chat room. If you are flowing, kindly type yes in the chat room. So in this 2026 version, in the latest version, physical, virtual, human, and technology, you can have human evidence, physical evidence, and you can have technological evidence. All of these are part of the new reality. Like I said, don't wait for transition period. Start reviewing your procedures. What are your procedures? Start reviewing your procedures for your audit activity. Review your procedures. Update your audit template to reflect the reality of technology and AI systems so that you'll be able to capture those aspects that have not been captured in the earlier version. Look at the auditor competence. Have we been able to ensure that all our auditors are competent based on this new reality? Assess your audit methodology. Brief the process owners about what you're doing. You need to start the review now because this is a guidance rather than a requirement standard. You don't have a transition period. Like I said from the beginning of the class, the practical response is to understand these changes and update every audit practice deliberately. So you don't need to look for when do you want to start it. You look at your existing audit program, your existing audit plan, your existing audit activity, and look at what area do we need to improve. Break them down into steps. Understand your process for your auditing from beginning to the end, from your planning of your audit till the following up of your audit activity, and look at what does the new standard says. What do we need to integrate, and what is the reality of our processes? This is where we start from. And in the next section, we'll be talking about the principle and audit program. Thank you. You're welcome back. Principles and audit program. The best of your audits are not the audit that starts from the opening meeting. If you want to be an auditor that is exceptional, and I mean audit program manager that plans an audit program for completely from the beginning to the end, from the planning to following up of the audit. We have plan of the audit till implementation, conducting the audit, monitoring the audit, as developing the audit report, audit reporting, and following up on audit. All those processes from beginning to the end. The person that plans it is the audit program manager. An expert in audit program management does not start his audit from the opening meeting. It is designed before the opening meeting. Before the opening meeting is because you want to carry out an audit. You will have gone around to understand what you want to audit, the process you want to audit. What are the audit risks and opportunity? What are the challenges that can be faced? What is the objective of the audit? What do you want to get from this particular audit? What is the result you are trying to gain from this particular audit? You must understand all of this before you say you want to now establish your audit program, before you now implement your audit program. It starts way before implementation, because by the time you start opening meeting, you're already implementing. Way before is when you start your audit, your auditing activity. The principle of auditing still remains for those that have gone through this training before. It remains largely the same. What now remains now is how it is being applied in modern auditing. especially around independence and risk-based thinking. Remember, I told you, for those that have taken these classes before, the 7 principles, Infadu is the first three. For those that have taken my particular training, they will remember that I use this acronym a whole lot of time. Infadu, in integrity, fair presentation, due professional care, their confidentiality, independence, evidence-based approach, and risk-based approach. This is still applicable. This is still applicable. There are no changes. It's just that the application is now more sharper and more specific and more detailed. Confidentiality now involves confidentiality when it comes to digital evidence, virtual evidence. They send document to you. They send evidence to you remotely. You have access to remote auditing. You don't just screenshot whatever document they send to you. You don't just share this document because it's not physical. You don't have that right to do that. This confidentiality must extend to digital evidence that is being presented to you. And for evidence-based approach, evidence will now go beyond just citing the document. Even before, it has not always been just citing document. You must cite, if they share an SOP, you must go and verify that that SOP is actually they follow, what they do in physically when they implement. What we are now saying is that it is now even more easy to develop documents within seconds due to technology, and you accept it, and it will look so real because they have an AI-enabled system that understand their processes, that can deliver, they can develop any document. But I'm not sure that there's a technology that will quickly establish, that will quickly train a staff within seconds, or unless they want to use robots, or that will quickly generate a particular, build a particular equipment within seconds when it comes to physical citing of the evidence. So evidence base is beyond just, as it has always been, but more sharper this time around. Then risk-based thinking must include technology. But this is what we're talking about. Independence is more than the distance. When independence is difficult, then your objectivity of your audit becomes critical. One of the challenges that internal auditors especially used to have, because is that they do not most times gain that complete independence. Internal auditors, if we be truthful to ourselves, they may not always be completely independent from functioning as an auditor and from the functions, from the processes being audited. But the expectation is to make every effort to remove bias and encourage objectivity. You must try as much as possible to remove bias, avoid bias, create safeguards, protect the objectivity of the audit. When planning of the audit, ensure that, for example, like we used to say, a process owner or someone who works in a particular department should not be auditing the same department. It can even go into the extent of, yes, friends can, maybe you observe that, so a worker is working in IT department, another one is working in, let's say, sales department, and they are friends. So when you want to audit, ideally, you can't say because they are friends and the person in IT should not audit sales department. But the question here is that they must remove bias and encourage objectivity at all time. Your judgment must be objective, not emotional. Audit is not what you do like friends. Oh, I'm going to audit your department. Please don't raise non-conformity. Please ensure that it is fine. Me too, when I'm coming to your department too, I will not raise non-conformity. No, that's not how audit should be. Audit is a sacred activity. Sometimes I call it spiritual activity, but they say I'm going too extreme. It's a sacred activity that must be done to the ideal state, because it is just like someone going to carry out a medical checkup. You can't say because the doctor or the person that wants to carry out the medical checkup is your friend, he will now lie to you. He's only trying to kill you. If it's going to lie to you that no, my friend, don't worry, your liver is fine, your kidney is fine, your intestine is fine. Meanwhile, those things are already getting bad. But because it's your friend, it's not something that is attainable. To show that he's your true friend, he will tell you the way it is so that you can become healthy. Same thing applies to auditing. Same thing applies to auditing. You are only doing the service or auditing that your friend, that your friend in another department, if you do not report it as it is, so that they'll be able to make improvement, because the purpose of audit is to improve the process and get better at what we do in our organization. So you must be objective. Like I said, your risk-based auditing starts earlier before the opening of the meeting, before the opening meeting. Your risk-based thinking should influence how you plan your audit, how you implement your audit program. It's not only about planning, about conducting, about reporting the audit. How you implement it is very the prop your there must be risk-based thinking when you are doing all of these things. You must identify the risk that could affect the audit when you are setting the program. Anything, there are some risks that you can't, that you might not be able to, let me say, uh 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 to erase, but you must create systems to address it. Anything can happen. Imagine that on the day of the audit, someone dies in the organization, or a major accident happens and led to deaths, maybe 5 people fatality. I'm thinking of the extreme worst case scenario. Obviously, the audit will not hold again. 5 people die in a company and you want to carry out audit. What do you want to audit? There's a risk of not conducting the audit. It's a risk too. What can affect your plan? Because you plan to carry out the audit on the 3rd of August, which is tomorrow, but something did not allow you to do. It's a risk. You must think ahead. In that case, what do? You reschedule. There must be plan for alternative. One of the auditors that is coming, not even the organization now that you want to audit, that is coming, something might happen and you won't be available. How do you quickly replace such person so that it won't affect the audit? It's a risk. Incompetence is a risk. Lack of evidence is a risk. And auditing not being available is a risk. There are different risks that lack of competence, like I mentioned, is also a risk. There are a lot of risks that could come with auditing. So you must identify the risk. We are not saying that every risk must be addressed. You can't say that, okay, audit is on the 3rd, God, nobody should die. You can't do that. There's no way you can address that before the audit. But we must understand that things can affect the audit. It's a threat through the entire audit life cycle. And it's not only about death or somebody not being available. Lack of competency, lack of evidence, lack of substantial evidence, lack of communication is a risk. If there's no good communication between you and your audit, you and the organization, which we used to call auditing, then it's a risk. Planning of your audit there can be a risk in the audit method. You have your audit schedule 9 to 12. You say engineering department, but it was not communicated to them. They are not aware that you're coming for the audit and they want to get busy. It is a risk. Or you even communicated to them, but they need to carry out a sudden an unplanned maintenance, or there was a sudden shutdown of the equipment. It's a risk. So what could affect your audit activity is a risk, and you must plan for it. Planning in your audit methodology. If you are using remote audit, what is the risk involved in your audit methodology? In the remote, or if it's going to be physical, what is the risk involved in physical audit? Respond to risk. How do you respond to the risk? When you're conducting the audit, how do you address the various risks? How do you ensure effective communication? Availability of auditor, availability of auditee, availability of evidence, availability of samples, and proper communication. And how do you ensure that even after the audit, there is a risk of not communicating what you saw? You know that there's a risk of poor sampling. That one is there. Poor evidence. That is not that, or even you reporting it, that is the auditor reporting now. There can be a risk of not understanding if a requirement is met or not. And you just say that they meet up with the requirement, they meet up. Means that they didn't meet up, or they meet up, you now say that they didn't meet up with the requirement. There is that risk of, again, that is where you must address it with competence. Now, at the point of communicating, you must also ensure that you communicate it effectively too. You must understand risk. Risk-based thinking must be there. and our audit program is now well expanded. Issue of climate change is now gaining much more strength. Uh, I'm sure that in the 2026 version of the ISO 9001 that will be published anytime soon, climate change, if you look at the document that has been shared so far, issue of climate change is now gaining more emphasis. In 2001, 2026, climate change is now a major part. Biodiversity, inclusion, all of these things are part of what we are talking about. So climate how does the audit give right, how does it affect climate change relevance? There is need for broader information, context, climate change relevance, technology that we are using. We've talking about this technology several times, so it's no more new to us. Technology use, the context of the organization, and the management system scope. Ideally, management system scope has always been there. The context of organization has always been there. Now we now have much more specific discussion around climate change relevance and digital technology use. In your audit program, you want to carry out an audit. Your auditors are coming to carry out the audit. They are moving from location A to location B. There are 5 auditors. Do you get a car to drive the 5 of them down to the location, or each of them drove themselves individually to that particular audit? This applies sometimes, or this applies to certification bodies most of the time. How do you ensure that digitalization? How do you ensure that understanding of climate change? What do you encourage? After they've shown you the evidence, do you still tell them to go and print it out in paper form, generating paper use? How do you also encourage sustainability based on your audit program? How do you look at how does your audit activity also affect climate change? These are the integration that we are talking about. And how do you use digital technology to improve your audit activity? Your risk must be determined. You know, there is a change of context. You must determine what the risk is. Before we used to use the word consider. The following must be considered. You should consider. If you have read, if you are familiar with ISO standard, you will see things like when planning your risk, you must consider, for example, in your clause 6.1 in the ISO standard, ISO 9001, 4001, must consider. But now it must be determined. Determination gives rise to evidence-based decision making, and giving rise to conclusion. So when you determine a risk, it means that your evidence has been reviewed and a decision or conclusion has been made regarding it. Just mentioning a risk is not the same as determining it. Just mentioning it, it's just like somebody, a player sitting on the bench and a player playing. They are two different things. They are in the same team. If they win the World Cup, the person sitting on the bench will say that I won the World Cup. But the player who is playing on the field is different from that player that is on the bench. They are both players of the same team. But determination is different from just considering someone. If you say that I will consider you for that particular role, and when you say that I'm determined to make sure that you are in that role, they are two different things. So your risk is beyond just consider. Let us consider this particular risk. You must determine it. Does the risk affect? Not just to consider it. Oh, is competence? Let us consider lack of competence. No, don't just consider. How does lack of competence affect your audit? It must be evidence based. The how must be there. You must decide what that particular risk mean and how it affects the audit activity, and reach a conclusion regarding it. I hope you're flowing with me. Audit program may fail even before you start an audit. That is the truth. If the management is not ready, for example, when it comes to internal audit, If the management is not ready for the audit, they are not involved, they don't want to know, they are not ready to carry out the audit with you, it can affect. It will affect because they are not committed to it. If there is no enough evidence to carry out the audit, it will affect. It will affect. If you don't use the right methodology, methodology is not only remote and physical. Methodology also involve human interaction and non-human interaction. For those that have gone through the training, they will know what I'm talking about. This is an overview, but we'll explain as much as we can. Human interaction means that you are interacting with the human, with the organization, the staff, which we used to call the auditee. You're interacting with them, you're asking questions, you are interviewing them, they are talking with you, you are exchanging discussion, you are having conversation, you are reviewing documents, and you are talking. That is human interaction. And we have non-human interaction. Non-human interaction means that you are only observing. You're observing how someone is working, but you're not asking questions, you're not interacting. You're observing the process, how the equipment is working. You are going through a document, but you're not asking anybody any question. That is not human interaction. So when you use a wrong methodology, where you're supposed to ask questions, you now keep quiet, it will affect the audit. Weak technology and undue management influence are all risks that should be actively addressed. If an audit can have an impact, if an audit can be influenced, it will have a high impact. If an audit is not independent, it will have a high impact. If you don't use the right tools, medium impact. If you don't use the right, if you don't have the right evidence, it also have an impact. They are all impact, whether high or low. Unsuitable methodology also has an impact. So you must, when you are talking about your risk, you are looking at number one, the auditor independence. Will this auditor will be influenced? Will the outcome of the audit be influenced? If the outcome of the audit is being influenced, then the audit is no more an audit. Because the outcome is what determines the success of an audit. The purpose of an audit is to ensure that you understand the processes and what is happening in the organization. So when an audit outcome or an audit result can be influenced, definitely there is no audit. A suitable audit method is also a risk that you need to watch. Use the right methodology. When you're supposed to use remote, use remote. When you're supposed to do this particular activity, when there's no way, we need to be there physically. You need to be there physically. You must determine it. Missing audit evidence. There's no evidence to show that this meets up with the requirement or not. No evidence, no show. No show, no evidence. Weak information technological tools, and undue influence. All of these are part of what you're going to look at. Also, competence is also one of them. So your audit team is more than just the auditors. What makes up the audit team? This 2026 version clarifies it. Competence is not just about the lead auditor. It's not only the lead auditor that should be competent. It's about assembling the right combination of people for the audit objective. What are we doing in this audit? What competency do we need, do we require for this particular audit? The auditing leader is there to direct and coordinate the audit, but the real audit activity include the auditors that wants to carry out the audit. The auditors that want to carry out the audit, and the level of expertise needed must be gotten. Then you can have auditor in training, because if you do not take along the next generation, that system will die. You can't keep doing something without training the next generation and give them the opportunity to learn, so that by the time we leave, or by the time you leave, the next generation, we the next generation will also take it along, and you'll be proud to say we left a legacy. When you don't do that, everything dies. So auditor in training is always encouraged. Then technical experts. In your audit team, there should be, if required, technical experts who have expertise in that particular process. You can be lucky that the auditors can also be an expert. For example, we want to carry out audit of an aviation company, aviation company, and the auditor that you want to use, who are maybe ISO 9001, also have is also an experienced person when it comes to the scope of your audit in that particular aviation industry, aviation organization. So you are, but the idea is not that they must be separate people, but the competency must be present there. Also understand the complexity, because when you give one person the whole job to do, to be the expert and also the auditor, it can be overwhelming. So you must understand the number of auditors that you have and be able to share responsibilities as an audit team leader. Then you can also have observers to be relevant. Observers are there to just, they can be invited. A regulatory body can be invited to come and be an observer, or anyone can be an observer just to verify proceedings and check and see how the audit is going. An auditor in training is also an observer. And in the next module, we'll be talking about conducting better audit. Thank you and God bless you. So far, if you have any question, quickly, just one question. If you have any question, just raise your hand before we move on. Should we move on? Just type yes in the chat room if you want us to move on. Just type yes in the chat room so that we'll just move on. It is already past 6 already. Okay. We have one person, Ekato. Mr. Ekato, please kindly
Yeah.
unmute.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. Your presentation has been very enlightening. So my question is this. I work with a pharma company, which is highly regulated, and there are some of our practices, um, for example, when our raw materials we are using for manufacturing are close to expiration, and we know we can't exhaust it, we are supposed to notify the regulatory agency of this. And part of our procedure says we notify them. But because of the financial costs, the company will be paying to the agency to come and supervise and monitor the destruction. The management ends up suppressing that process. So my question is this: in a system where you are doing an internal audit and the management has undue influence over that audit, over the process, how do you manage this?
When you say they have undue influence over the outcome of the audit, right? Hello? Oh, you muted already. Now, it is simple and straightforward. When top management have influence, I think they need to understand, and because they are top management, what you need to do is to communicate and enlighten them about it. And enlighten them about it. When an organization has undue influence in your processes, in their activities, it means that they do not want the success. It means that they do not want the success of the audit. And when they don't want the success of the audit, what you can do is you play your own part. You remain objective and independent. You remain calm, be professional, document everything. Where there are interference, document it. The date, the time, who was involved, and how it affected the audit, document it as much as you can. Then communicate the issue. If there's a higher authority, communicate it. inform the audit team leader, the certification body, or even if it's not an audit, if there's a higher person, inform them about it. And when you can politely restrict access, you can do that. You can politely remind the organization that the audit requires access to relevant records, personnel, facilities, and just be professional and do your own part and document your own, and document evidence that they are trying to ensure that they are trying to influence the outcome, and tell them the principle of auditing: fair presentation, integrity, professional care, independence. All of this, try to explain to them and be professional about it. All right, that's how we feel. That is why how you can go about that. Let's go on with the class. You're welcome, sir. You're welcome. How do you conduct better audit? From your preparation to your communication to evidence discipline, all of these are what define a quality audit. And this is what we are discussing now in this section 3. Like I said, your audit begin before the opening meeting. Desktop review is always very important. And it's not just about that normal administrative exercise. Your desktop review can help identify the risk, the inherent risk within the organization, and the risk that can be created by conducting the audit itself. You must properly prepare for the audit activity, understand the system, understand what they do, understand their processes, understand the activity that takes place in the organization, go through their process map, understand their processes, understand their organogram, and identify their risk in their processes. Identify the risk in conducting the audit so that you'll be able to know what controls you need to put in place. Ensure proper planning of the audit. Choose the right methodology to carry out the audit. Your audit schedule: day one 9 to 10 this, 10 to 11 this, 11 to 12 this, 12 to 2, whatever you schedule the audit. Ensure that the process owner or the head of the department of every department that you are auditing at a particular point in time, they've been communicated to. And also ensure that you test the reality of your audit. A desktop review can reveal risk before people meet. Before you carry out the audit and you meet with the top management, or you meet with the organization that you want to audit, when you do a desktop review, you'll be able to identify what are the gaps, what are the risks that are involved, and you're able to put your control measures in place. Audit is beyond just saying, yeah, you and you come together, let us carry out audit. No, it is beyond that. You have to properly plan. Planning is communication. There must be proper alignment of your auditing. It's not just about the document. It's not just about the internal document, the audit plan, the audit schedule that you share around, or audit notification, the audit report, the checklist. It is beyond all of this. You must ensure that your audit plan is beyond just that document that you share. It should be presented to both the audit client and the auditee where appropriate, so that there must be alignment before the audit begin. They must be shared across the audit plan. This is the plan for the audit. This is how I want to do the audit. This is the objective of the audit. This is the scope of the audit. This is the criteria we're auditing against. These are the auditors. This is the audit team. This is day one. This is day two. This is day three. From 9 to 10, we are auditing this department. That particular time too, another audit team is auditing another department. You share your audit plan to them and your audit schedule, and you communicate it to the audit client, to your, if it's internal audit, to the organization, to the staff members, to the team members that are involved in the audit. Proper communication and alignment must be carried out. When the audit cannot achieve its objective, as a professional auditor, you need to escalate the reality early. When after planning your audit and you communicate it, people can come up with different things. For example, the HR can see that, oh, you have an audit of sales manager of sales department on the 15th. Mr. Kelvin Aderigbebe or whatever is his name will not be available. He will be on leave. That is already a risk that can affect the objective of the audit. If there is significant risk that emerge, or it becomes clear that the audit objective cannot be achieved, there can even be issue of evidence. Anything can happen. You must communicate clearly. You must communicate beyond just the auditee to the audit program manager and the audit client. Communicate exactly what the issue is, not only to that person that is affected. If it's not achievable, you escalate it. What is the barrier? What do you need to communicate? And reassess the objective of the audit and communicate effectively to the audit program manager, to the audit client, to the auditee, to those that will be affected. You don't just see that there's a risk. Any risk can occur. It can be lack of competence, because an objective is what you want to. The overall objective is to ensure that you have a successful audit. But there are specific objectives to that particular audit activity, audit program. The objective of an audit might be to evaluate the effectiveness of the management system. It can be to evaluate the content of the organization. It can be because they want to identify the risk in their operation. It can be that because they want to have confidence that they are external provider. There must be a reason behind every audit, and it can be part of the fulfillment of the internal audit activity to ensure that their process keep on improving and having an effective process. There will be a reason behind every audit. So that objective, if it has been set and risk to achieve the objective has been identified, and there is a particular risk that can lead to not affecting the objective, definitely that particular risk needs to be addressed. That is what we are saying. That particular risk needs to be addressed. The non-conformity grading requires transparency. How do you grade non-conformities? Ideally, part of what you communicate from the beginning of your audit is how you want to grade the non-conformities. It is not when they are seeing the report, it's when they now see the grading. You will have communicated to them prior to be, in fact, at the opening meeting, at least at the opening meeting, you communicate your grading methodology. If you are grading non-conformities, communicate to them. The criteria should be communicated. Any high risk will be major non-conformity. Any low risk will be minor non-conformity. What do you define as high risk? What do you define as low risk? What is being measured? Anything that can lead to, let's say it's health and safety now, anything that can lead to major injury, permanent partial disability, or permanent total disability, or death is major. Anything that can lead to what's it called? Minor first aid case, that will be minor. It can even be a case of maybe when it comes to management system, any major requirement that is explicitly mentioned in the standard and you don't have it, that is a major. Anyone that you have but is not as expected as the standard, it might be a minor. You have SOP but you don't implement them, it can be a minor because you have done something already. You have objective that you set but you don't meet up the objective, it can be a minor. You don't even have objective at all, that's a major. You will have communicated the criteria to them so that they will not be surprised when they see, how can you call this a major non-conformity? That communication must be there. What is being measured, do they understand it, and are the rules applied equally? Not that what you raise as major non-conformity for marketing department, you get to HSC department, you put it as minor non-conformity. You get to legal, you put it as observation. You must understand, you must be consistent, and understand the process to ensure that there is transparency in raising your non-conformities. Your findings. Any finding that has not been presented and discussed during the audit or during the closing meeting should never suddenly appear in the final report. You must communicate the findings. That is, you are being fair and transparent. They should not have surprise findings. You should not carry out, you should not give them in the closing meeting, you didn't discuss any finding with them, one or two findings, but in the report, they are now seeing the findings coming in later. What they find must be clearly written. What did they find? What do you find out as evidence? You must be fair in the process. Fairness is a process and not a sentence in the report. It's not about you saying that you are being fair in the reporting, but it's how you go about it. Your evidence must be clear. Requirement must be clear. What you have come up with must be discussed in the closing meeting. Present it, make them understand, and you record it. That is why even when you are raising non-conformity, you don't just raise non-conformity and just send a non-conformity report. You must communicate the non-conformity to the auditee or the organization, and when you communicate non-conformity, they will accept, and you now raise a non-conformity report. If they don't accept and you try to convince them and they don't accept, then you put it in the report for the audit program manager to continue handling it with them. Audit evidence has a life cycle. There's an approach to auditing. Evidence must be controlled. How do you understand the life cycle of your evidence? You must obtain your evidence, obtain it. When you are carrying out your audit activity, they will give you evidence. Like I used to say, we have three forms of evidence: the physical evidence, the human evidence, and the documented evidence. And when you obtain this evidence based on what they show you, based on the findings, based on which lead to the findings, based on the activities, you verify it. You verify this evidence alongside with the requirement of the standard. Verify this evidence. Does it meet up with the requirement? Does it address what we need? Every evidence must not mean that since they show you evidence, it means that it's conform. You must evaluate it against the set criteria. When you verify it and you have come up with your conclusion, you retain your document. And retaining means that you hold on to the document based on agreed methodology, based on agreed process. And when you want to dispose of, you also dispose based on agreed process. There is a period of time when you obtain, you verify, you retain, you dispose. That retaining can be when you are still making use of the document. It continues even after the audit. And that is why even this updated 2026 version, it adds emphasis on the disposal of information and audit evidence once the need to retain it has passed. If you've already carried out your audit and you have used the audit document or evidence that they've been shown to you, maybe the sampling, the video, you took pictures, you screenshot the document, a part, and you have already communicated the report and you have already done the audit, you must properly dispose it to maintain what? Confidentiality, the secrecy of information. This makes you to conduct better audit activity. In the next section, we will now be focusing on context, technology, and remote auditing. Thank you, and God bless you. If you are flowing with me, just type yes in the chat room. Let me know that I'm not the only one here. If you are flowing with me, just type yes in the chat room. All right, beautiful. Let's keep on going. Section 4, you're welcome back. Competence, technology, and remote auditing. A modern auditor must understand both the processes and the tools. It is beyond just I know the clauses of the standard. I know how to carry out audit. I know how to ask questions. I have worked in this particular industry before. I know what it means, what I need to ask for. I know what policy means. I know what risk means. I know what permit to work system means. I know what customer satisfaction means. I know what environmental impact, environmental aspect means. No, it's beyond all of those things. Even when you understand the processes in the organization, you must understand different things. We've highlighted what competency means in 21st century in this 2026 version. Experience is part of it, technical expertise is part of it, communication is part of it, the soft skills required is part of it, the technical knowledge is part of it. And that is part of what you'll be discussing in this new section. This auditor competence has expanded. You must understand the audit environment. And in this 2026 version, competency is now side by side with technology. We've conducted a complete audit from the beginning to the end remotely, and it was a successful audit. Yes, we went before the audit to observe the physical working location, to observe the activities and the processes, a new facility, which is one of the evidence and the factors that led to okay, what do we do? If a process, these are not cast in stone, you need to be flexible. For example, if a company is a new manufacturing company and when you establish contact physically, you realize that all the equipments are new. It is different. Why you make your decision in plan of your audit to be different from a company that when you visited, you saw a lot of old equipment, faulty equipment, maybe 20, 15 years equipment. It will be a different ball game. That's why you must be flexible in your judgment when you're planning your audit. As an auditor, you need to understand not only how to audit. To audit, it's very simple. Ask questions. Develop a checklist. Even now that we have AI, use AI to develop audit checklist. Start asking questions. Even though that is even a poor way of auditing, because what most people know how to do is to ask questions and not audit. Some people have seen auditing as an interrogative section. It's not an interrogative section. Even when you know how to audit, but you must also understand the consequence of technology used to conduct audit or embedded in audit process. What are the technology that is now being used? Competency is now contextual. Can you audit the process? Can you understand the technology you want to use? If they decide to use, what's it called? A drone that you control remotely, or they have connected the drone to the system, and everything that is happening that the drone is capturing, you can see it, through your system in the comfort of your hotel or your room. And can you be able to use it and visualize what is happening in that environment that the drone is capturing and make your decision? Obviously, the company will have ensured that everything is set before they even set up the drone to do the remote auditing. But can you direct them? I want you to go to this left. I want you to go to the right. I want to see this. Can you bring the drone down? Can you capture this for me? How versatile are you? Or their CCTV cameras in their facility, is can it be connected to you that you can actually access any aspect remotely and see how work is taking place there? at any point in time using sampling method because you can't check every part. You select data protection. Can you protect digital data? Can you use emerging technology? You'll be surprised that some people don't even know how to join Zoom meeting or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. You'll be surprised. And using of the right method. You must be able to protect documents and ensure that you are maintaining integrity, fair presentation, due professional care, confidentiality, and independence at all times, including evidence-based approach and risk-based approach, which are the principles of auditing. Answer this question yourself. It's a rhetorical question. Can you audit artificial intelligence, AI, if you don't understand AI? The answer is no. So when you want to use artificial intelligence to carry out audit, you need to understand and evaluate the tools. You need to be able to carry out data analysis. You need to be able to seek for remote support or apply remote support. So the guidance recognizes two competency questions. Can the auditor use emerging technology appropriately? Can you use it to carry out your audit? And can the auditor audit the processes that depend on emerging technology? Now, say that there are two different things. Ability to use artificial intelligence for data analysis is one thing. Before, for example, we talk about sampling. Now, when it comes to data now, there are softwares that you can input up to 5,000 or let's say 1,000 documents and it will analyze it for you. But this is where confidentiality comes in because when you input this document into all of these, for example, ChatGPT and the likes, they have access to those documents and that can create loopholes. In the 21st century, you as an auditor, you should not be given a particular SOP belonging to a company, and because you want to analyze it, you now just upload it on ChatGPT. If the company realizes, they can sue you because you are exposing them. You have given access to, you have given other competitors unlimited access to their document via that same ChatGPT that you are using. You must be able to understand the confidentiality aspects and information security. So when you are using a remote access or when you are using a particular AI tool, you must understand does this AI tool have undue access to this document that I share with them? There are some subscription that you will make that they won't have access to it. For example, I think I know of Notebook LM. If you upload something on that note or on Notebook LM, Notebook LM does not extract it. It's just encrypting. Just like in the let's use WhatsApp for example. In the old version of WhatsApp, anybody can have access to it, including WhatsApp themselves. But now it is being encrypted. You can have your chat without WhatsApp knowing what you are saying. So are those softwares are they built that way, or you are giving them on the access to your auditees information? You must be able to understand how to use AI tools to carry out audit. It is the reality. Before, maybe you can only audit, maybe you can only pick 5 sampling out of 100. But now you can pick the whole 100 and upload it on a particular tool, AI tool, and it will analyze the truth. It will analyze it for you. AI is so good. I have a very bad handwriting. Very bad handwriting. My handwriting they are only good when I'm writing exam. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I have a very bad handwriting. Now, sometimes I will write very fast and I will snap it and upload and tell ChatGPT should extract what I've written. How they and it will capture most of them rightly to tell you how smart and intelligent they are. Are you using these tools positively? And the tools that you are using, those AI tools, are they encrypted that they won't have access to those documents? Now, there are now some processes that you want to audit that are AI enabled. In fact, it's not only see, this thing has been happening for a long time. AI is not something that is just happening today. AI has been existent over years for at least I know for the past 50 years, if not more. The only difference now is that there is easier access to AI. They've been building softwares, they've been building apps all of these years. They've been using AI, artificial intelligence. But now I can sit down in my room, learn one or two coding, use Claude AI, and I'll build a website. I can build a process flow that I can build a permit to work system, digital permit to work system without without going through a robust training. I'll just combine, just tell ChatGPT to tell me how to go about it, and I'll use Zoho Mail, Zoho Form, Zoho Flow, free subscription or paid subscription. I will create a permit to work system. Many of you have opportunities in your company, and this is extra knowledge now, where your company have paid for, let's say, Microsoft 365, or they have paid version of Zoho Flow, Zoho, all these applications, and you have paid version that have been subscribed to, and you can use it, play with it, and be able to create a system using these digital systems that will make your work faster and easier without stress. So when you have AI enabled system, do you know how to audit them? And this competency question is on both sides. Emerging controls, technology risk, automated decisions. Do you know how to audit? Like I gave an example earlier. You can ask them, do you have a particular SOP for this? And they've already activated the microphone, and they've already built the system that it will detect what you asked, and it automatically generate the document. And before you know it, the person just say, ah, I have it now. You just, sorry sir, for confidentiality, it will now hide it from you and just download it and show it to you. And they will have uploaded the template that is going to use, and it will look so real. How do you ensure that what they are giving you is the reality, even if it's not immediate? Most of this most we now use SOPs to develop documents. It's not bad. You can use SOP, but do you understand prompt engineering that will tailor the result to what you need? And not only that, you will be able to implement it, because that is the essence. AI can help you to develop a checklist. Is it tailored? It can help you to develop a particular plan, maybe yearly plan. It can help you to set objective based on your process and your scope, and you domesticate it and it's been approved. But the real question is it being implemented? That is where that's what AI will not do for you. AI can help you to plan, but AI will not help you to implement. Is it being implemented? Are there systems to check that it is being done? That is the extra work that you do to enable that, even though we are an AI generation that everybody can develop documents, SOPs anyhow, are they implementing it? Your vision, your auditing will now go beyond just the document to the reality of seeing their processes. That is what we are saying. The auditor's new personal behavior. As an auditor, you need to be tenacious, but beyond just that, you need to be determined, be persistent. Determination is what we are talking about now. Evidence based. You must go extra mile. The how must be there. The underlying meaning remain being focused and persistent and achieving the objective. But the message is not just about being purposeful or being persistent. It is about being purposeful and being persistent, and not just being confrontational. Many of us, we think we are tenacious. We are not tenacious. We are only confrontational. We think we know all as an auditor. Your shoulders high. No, it's not just about comforting. It's about being objective with your audit activity, being purposeful in what you want to achieve. You are trying to ensure that they are following the requirements of the standard and their system is effective and their system is helping them achieve what the business is all about, building the system. You need to be determined to achieve that goal. Persistent, focus, objective, and purposeful. Remote auditing guidance has been expanded beyond what we have before. The important point is that the remote methodology or the method that you want to use must be appropriate for the audit objective and it has the right impact on the organization. Whether you are using on site, that is physical, observation, direct interaction, that is what you do physical, that's traditional way, or you want to use remote, that is virtual activities, digital evidence. It's not just about a video call. It's not just a video call. It's the system. Video call is not just WhatsApp video call. Okay, turn your back camera, please. Go to your right. Go to your right. Let me see what they are doing there. Okay, come to the left. Okay, can you go? No. It's part of it, but it's not just that. There are other systems. They can have their CCTV camera connected to their system and they will share that system. At least we go to even shopping malls. We go to shopping malls, we see there's a big TV that shows what is at every location. They can connect that to you remotely. Even if it's not directly remotely, you can have a Zoom meeting and the system that is capturing that, they will share the screen with you for you to see, not just doing a video call. Hybrid, combining the two method of communication, both on-site and remote, and risk-based choice. You must know which one is more perfect and combine it effectively. You are doing auditing in 5 locations. If instead of doing opening meeting in the 5 locations, can't you do the opening meeting in one location, and in the other 4 locations they will join the opening meeting remotely? Automated tools, secure platforms that are secure, that can ensure that your information are not being leaked. So your method selection must serve the audit objective. You must, what matter the selection, the objective of the audit must be achieved. The objective of the audit must be achieved. So the right methodology must be made. It is a risk decision. It is a risk, and risk is in both ways. Risk is in both ways. The reality of different areas. For example, during COVID era, there was more of remote audit. The risk to contacting what's it called, COVID, was higher than the risk of going to any location physically. In some areas where there are, let's say, high rate of kidnapping, or there is war going on in the country, the risk of going there is higher than the risk of doing it remotely. Then you now look at the audit activity itself. What is the risk in ensuring that this remote audit is not floppy? You ask the question, is the method suitable? Is the method suitable? What are the technology risks? What are the technology risks? Network is one of the most important. The strength of the network provider. Ensure that you have the right, you have a plan B. You have a plan B. Your system can break down. There must be a plan B. And what is the impact of the auditee? So in this 2026 version, the guidance is asking the auditor to consider the impact of different audit method on the organization. If you want to do this audit remotely, what is the impact on the organization? If you are coming physically, what is the impact on the organization? Method selection is therefore a deliberate professional decision. It is a deliberate professional decision, whether it is hybrid, whether it's on site, whether it is remote, whether it's automated. It is not far-fetched that most times physical audit is always more suitable on site. But we should understand that you need to carry out a risk decision. Which one is best for us for this particular audit? Yes, on site is suitable. Hybrid is also very suitable. In fact, combination of both is what we used to recommend. And you will now impute tech automated systems too, technology to make the audit more fluid, more easier and faster while achieving the same result. Because like I said, in fact, if it's a certification audit, for example, the certification body itself can build a particular app, a software. We are talking about ChatGPT, we're talking about all these Gemini that they can have access to the document, they can have access to the document. A certification body or your company can develop the AI tool themselves that it will analyze all of these documents within seconds and it will give you the result. And it will give you the result. Sorry, I'm seeing a particular announcement here, and that got my attention. Someone said, did you get the notification that the recording will stop in 2 minutes? Where did we get that notification? Did anyone get that notification so that I can know? Okay,
I think it's AI. Those people using AI, Fireflies.
okay. All right, thank you. And that's part of what we are talking about. You are using AI without requesting access. We didn't allow, we are not allowing anybody to use AI to take anything from here because this is confidential and it will be inappropriate to use it for any other purpose without informing us. I hope we know that. So let me check again because that actually got my attention. I don't want us to be distracted at any point. Okay, let's move on. I think there are no issues. Okay. All right, let's keep on moving. Whatever method you are using, ensure that the method is effective and your remote auditing success formula. Quality depends on more than the platform. You must ensure that you have the right methodology to carry out your audit activity. Like I said, your quality of your audit depends on the method, and the method you're using also is is very important. And beyond the method, you must also look at the methodology you are using to carry out the audit, understand the technology that is required to carry out the audit, and the competence required to carry out this particular audit, and also information security and your evidence reliability. So we have, for your remote audit quality, if you want to carry out remote auditing, the method, the remote method is not only what will determine the success of the audit. You must also ensure that the technology that you are using is also very effective. Whether you are using, for example, for the opening meeting, you are using Google Meet, or you are using Microsoft Teams, or you are using any methodology, it must be well defined. The competency of the auditors that want to carry out the audit, they must be competent in the methodology, also competent in the technology that you are going to use, and also the evidence must be appropriate. So a secure platform cannot fix a poor audit method. So it is not just about having a secure platform. Oh, this particular platform, they won't get our document, they won't get our results. No, they won't get our data. No, it's not only about that. It's about ensuring that you have the right audit method. And like we used to recommend, a combination of both. And a great method cannot compensate for weak competence. So in the next one, we're talking about the supply chain findings and reporting. Section 5, supply chain, your findings and reporting. The audit must tell a story, it must be fair, and it must be useful. Your reporting must be useful. Your audit activity must be useful. It must be complete. It must be concise. It must be correct. It must tell a complete, a fair, and a useful story that will help to improve the organization processes. So, talking about supply chain, it has gotten more attention. When you look at the Annex A12 of this new version, it provides significantly expanded guidance centered on second-party audit. Now we have first-party audit, second-party audit, third-party audit. If you have not gone, if you don't know the difference, you might want to go through our auditing courses at TechCoach. Now, this is important to know where risk extend beyond the organization's own physical boundaries. Every organization has a boundary, but there are times where the risk it extends beyond the physical boundary of the organization. That is where second party comes in. For example, the suppliers, the contractors, the service providers, the logistics, they work hand in hand with the organization, and organizations carry out second party audit on them. For those that don't understand second party is the audit between, like more like a business kind of auditing, a business engagement, a kind of business relationship, auditing a supplier, a contractor, a client is auditing a client is auditing a contractor, a logistic company is being audited, service provider is being audited. This is a kind of second party audit. So there are risks that comes with that. So there must be evidence across the boundaries. Whenever the risk extend beyond the organization's own physical boundary. For example, an organization calls you, invite you, or they want to audit their service company. They want to audit their supplier. Maybe it supplies them some raw materials that is being used to carry out their processes. Now they want to audit that organization. So the risk is beyond the boundaries of the organization. The focus is on the risk of the organization. And when you want to carry out those risks, when you want to carry out those audits, you must understand the risk that is inherent in having that successful audit takes place. Your audit findings must always explain a gap. That is basic knowledge. Whether you are raising in a major non-conformity or or a minor non-conformity, the reason why the audit criteria were not met should be recorded. It must be evidence-based. Whenever you have a grading that you have agreed upon, you should record the grade accordingly, whether you're using minor non-conformity or major non-conformity. Some even use quantitative analysis, that is a quantitative grading system, grading from 1 to 5, 1 being the least, 5 being the highest. So you must understand that your audit findings is explaining a gap. What is the gap? What is the gap? It is explaining a gap. And the gap is what you have audited against. You have audited a process against a particular criteria. What is the criteria that has been audited against? Maybe against ISO 9001, against ISO 14001, against ISO 5001. It can be against the standard operating procedure. It can be against the company risk management system. It can be against the set objective. It can be against a regulatory requirement. It can, whatever is the criteria, it can be against a client requirement. Whatever is the criteria you're auditing against. And the outcome of that audit is your findings. So your findings can be either non-conformity or conformity. Non-conformity to the requirement or conformity to the requirement. The non-conformities will now be graded. Is it a major non-conformity or a minor non-conformity? Is it a low risk, medium, or high risk? Depending on the risk methodology that you are using, depending on the grading system that you are using. So the findings must tell us what exactly are you seeing. Not only finding is not only the non-conformities. Finding includes the good practices and also the non-conformities also. What is the criteria? What does the standard says? The standard says the organization shall communicate the policy to interested parties. What did you see? There was no evidence of communication of the policy to interested party or to the interviewed workers. What is missing? When you are carrying out the audit, you asked about the understanding of the policy from several workers, and all of them say they do not understand what the policy means. There is no communication of the policy. What is the reason? Poor communication or no established system to communicate the policy. It has not even gotten to their thought to communicate the policy. Because of this, what is the grading? A major non-conformity. So what should happen is the criteria, what the standard says. What does the criteria says? What did you see? What is the gap? Why did that happen? Then you grade accordingly. If there's no criteria, then there's no audit. There's no clear gap. And when there's no clear gap, there's no finding. So what you are auditing against is the criteria, and what you use to evaluate the effectiveness of the criteria, the effectiveness of meeting that criteria is the evidence. And from the evidence, you will tell us if they meet up or they don't meet up, which will make up your finding. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. So when you have come up with your reporting, you must understand that your reporting is the way you communicate the report. Is the way you communicate the outcome of the audit or the result of the audit, which is the more term to use now. The result of the audit. And it must reach the right people. Apart from the general communication, some people want to hear what applies to them. So in the 2026 edition, changes the language around report distribution to previously determined parties. And what this does is that it reinforces the importance of deciding communication expectation when the audit program is constructed. At the point of planning, you must communicate who are you sharing the report with. who are those that have been previously determined as the receivers of the report. The auditor, the auditee, the client, if it's the case of a client, whoever who are those that have been agreed, those that were in the process that were audited, that have been agreed as those that will receive the report, must be the ones to receive the report. Who received the report must be determined. And what should remain confidential? What should you protect? The entire report itself. And the reporting must be clear, properly distributed, reaching the right parties. Ensure that only the right party receive the audit report. Receive the audit report. You must ensure that the right people receive the audit report. Because when you do not reach the right people, it won't be addressed. Because the purpose of the report is to address the requirement that has not been met. So when the requirement has not been met, and you have a report, and the report does not get to those people that will address it, definitely the gap will still exist. So you must determine who received the report, what should remain confidential at all time in the report, and ensure that what you are reporting is clear. You communicate the requirement and what the gap that has been identified in your audit reporting, clear and concise, and it should reach the right people. Your reporting must be clear. It must have the right content. It must be direct. It must be controlled, like we said, protect the information, and it must have the right communication. Then your following up is not always automatic. Your following up should be purposeful. Does your audit require follow-up from the report, from the non-conformities? Ideally, when you have non-conformities, there should be follow-up to address those non-conformities, because they will come up with, the auditee, which is the organization, will come up with corrective action, and those corrective action should be implemented, and the auditor will come around to verify the effectiveness of those corrective actions. When it requires follow-up, you must verify actions and assess the effectiveness. If it does not require any follow-up, you must close the audit appropriately and retain evidence. So your decision should be justified by the situation. If there are non-conformities, like I said, there will be follow-up. The follow-up may now be part of the next audit. It should be determined, depending on the type of audit that you are doing. The updated process flow includes a reminder that follow-up activities are not always required. The key is to determine whether follow-up is necessary based on the situation. Where there are non-conformities, there will be follow-up. Where there are no non-conformities, there will be no need for follow-up. Where there are times that there will be observation, maybe series of observation across board, and it will require a follow-up. Follow-up might not always be immediate. It can be part of a subsequent audit or a subsequent time. And in the next section, we'll be talking about the final part, which is the auditor guides to success. Thank you. Section 6, the auditor's guide to success. You turn the revision into a practical capability upgrade. Let's look at this together. Based on what we have discussed, let us look at what should we do as an auditor that is ready to transform into the 2026 version. You must look at this reality. Number one, technical competence. You must have that technical competence in what you want to audit. Technical competence in the ISO standard technical competence, and the process that you want to audit. Do research, do your findings. You must have risk intelligence. There must be risk intelligence. You must understand risk beyond just the traditional risk. Digitalization is a thing now, and the risk that applies to them must be determined. Then the digital awareness too must be there. Digital awareness, which we have spoken about today. Proper communication, effective communication, and be able to apply professional judgment. If you want to reduce all what we have discussed in this particular course to one model, then this is what we are talking about. The auditor success model. Risk intelligence, digital risk, technological risk, process risk, the audit itself, the risk involved, and the risk that the company can face from the audit, that is the organization. Then digital awareness must be there. You must be able to carry out digital audit digitally, understand digitalization, and be able to use it to your strength, and also observe it and be able to identify when it's being used against you to actually cut against the requirement of the standard. Like I give example of automatically developing SOPs for you that you request for within seconds. Why they don't have it before? You must be able to identify those gaps, because it is beyond. It now tells you that it is beyond just the document. It's now about implementation and how they monitor the process. That's how you can actually know the reality of their processes. If you rely on just the document, they would sweep you off the carpet. They will sweep you off the ground, and be able to apply professional judgment, have effective communication skill as an auditor. Every future-ready auditor must combine technical knowledge with risk thinking, with digital awareness, technology awareness, effective communication, and professional judgment. So what should you do next? Let's look at this 30-day action plan. Look at the first week. Study and understand these changes that we have spoken about today. Understand all of these changes. Review your procedures, your audit procedure, your audit program, all of these that has to do with your auditing, review it. Then update your template to include these changes, change the technology, digital awareness, whatever is applicable to you. Integrate remote auditing. It means that you can now, maybe before each, you can have like 3 sites or 3 factories. Maybe they do their auditing independently. You can now introduce digital audit, virtual audit, remote audit, hybrid, as the case may be. Update and refresh your template and assess and test the competency of your staff. If there's a need for formal training on AI, formal training on how to use remote access, how to use CCTV cameras at different locations, and how to cite it, and how to spot non-conformities or spot or evaluate spot evidence and evaluate it, you need to do that. Build competence, build the confidence, improve the system, and review your system and create the awareness. This is how we can actually implement and integrate this new version. And it should be practical, not just theory. Understand the changes they are talking about. Review your audit processes, your audit procedure. Update the tools. If you need to update the training requirement, if you need to update your processes, do that. Train your staffs and assess whether the competency matches the audit your team is expected to audit. How do you go about it? Do it one step at a time, and that will lead to an excellent audit experience. If you want to get along with the future, you need to drop the yesterday's mindset. You need to upgrade yourself. Like we said, transition period is not like the others for management systems, for ISO 9001, 14001, 5001, that are certifiable. This is a guideline. For this guideline, it's different from the standard. From this guideline, transition is immediate. And this new standard is new. This this updated version is not asking auditors to become completely a different person. It's telling us to be more deliberate. It's asking us to be more deliberate, to be more competent, to be more determined, more focused, more adaptable to changes that is happening in the reality of what's happening in the 21st century. And the best auditors will not just simply know the guidance, they will use it to create better audit for themselves and for their processes. Understand these differences, upgrade your competence, build your competence like you are attending or you've attended this particular training, and improve your audit impact at all time. So it is just as simple as that. Not telling you to do something differently, but challenge yourself to meet up with the latest version with technology improvement, digital awareness, build more competence, be more, be have more soft skills management, have effective communication skill, have listening skill during your audit, and also if you are planning your audit program, understand the various risks beyond just traditional risk, digital risk that could occur, and be able to deliberately determine and not only consider but determine how a particular risk can affect the success of your audit and affect achieving the audit program. So at the end of the day, you will be able to build your competency across this field. And we're able to use the auditor's briefing notes and the implemental briefing note together to be able to come up with this revision and this particular training for you. Thank you very much, and we hope you've learned something today. And we appreciate you, we appreciate your time, and we hope we've added value. Thank you, and God bless you. So if you have any question now, please let us go on to the question and answer section. All right, please, if you have any question, immediately, thank you for everyone. We are going to share the certificate link now. So everyone can go and download their certificate. Um, thank you, thank you. Um, all right. Please, I think there are no questions. Okay. Mr. Solomon, please unmute.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Please, my
evening.
question is, I don't know if that would be possible to get the recording. I actually joined a bit behind, not
Okay.
exactly when you started because I'm at work at the moment. So
Okay.
I
So
joined.
we have what's it called? We have the what would I say? We have the recording on
Okay.
on my brain is not.
On
We have the
YouTube?
recording on
Is
YouTube.
it
Yeah. So
YouTube?
you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. I will.
So please, you can download your certificate now. Everyone, please, you can access the link now and download your certificate. Like we said, it is not just about certificate. It's about understanding it.
Yeah,
It's
that's why
about
I'm
building
even looking for the link.
is what that is what is more important. So please,
Yes.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Lukumi.
much. I appreciate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The recording is on YouTube. Thank you for the excellent training session. Your knowledge, guidance, and engagement teaching style made the learning experience valuable and enjoyable. Your clear explanation and practical examples. Thank you very much. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you, everyone. Please, we have a period of time to get this, to download our certificate. So let's go and download them. Please, if you have downloaded your certificate, please let us know. Downloading. Okay. Yeah, some said some said downloaded successfully. Okay, I think it's because everybody is going the same time. So please, let's give it
Because
some space.
okay, it's telling me. Let me read my error message. It said resource limit. Resource limit is reached. The website is temporarily unable to service your request as it exceeds a resource limit. I don't know if you get it.
Ṣé- So let's take it easy. It is normal. So some people are already downloading. It's normal to have such when a lot of people are going into a particular link the same time. So it happens like that. Some people are already downloading. Like we said, you can give it some time. You can try to download it later. I've already explained already. I don't think it's fair to be repeating that. I said it is the network, and that is why it is because everybody is going there simultaneously. Please exercise patience. It will work out. Just give some time, allow you to rest, it will go. Please, you don't need to send anything. I've already explained it here now. I've explained it like 3 or 4 times here now. As we are downloading, please let us also share on LinkedIn and tag Coder Safety Consult. Yes, if you are able to download yours, please you can leave. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. Let us let me uh if you can't download yet, please exercise patience. It is normal. Even NYSC, if they open a portal for students to do something, even anywhere, all our experiences, anytime there is a public website that everybody wants to access at the same time, these things like this used to happen. Some people are already downloading it. Please, if you are not able to download it, please exercise patience. It will work. It is normal. It's not only it's not like just like 50 people trying to enter through a door. There will be such thing will happen. So please let us exercise. Everybody is clicking the link at the same time. That's why it's happening like that. Some people are already downloading their own. Just be patient. It happens like that. It's normal.
You apply this is one link. Now is another link, you pushing it in. It's like that. Má fọlù bàtà o. Wá ṣe é bíbà bẹ̀rẹ̀ ha come and do it here. Sorry, kí wọ́n do. Come and do it in that place. Ọlá o, má ṣe lè léṣe. Ó rí bá aṣọ òun wà lẹ́yìn tí mo fẹ́ kí n rìn.
The account details to paying money to. There is no breakdown of anything like the course duration, even the amount for the course. You didn't even send anything. You're just sending me account details.
Odemanu. So it's already 8 o'clock. It's already 8 o'clock here. So I'll be closing the meeting now. I've been waiting so that everyone will be able to download. But it's already 8 o'clock. I'll be sharing the link one more time. After sharing the link now and waiting for a couple of minutes, then if you have downloaded yours, please kindly you can exit. You can exit. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Engineer Sylvester, always here. Lai Baker, thank you. Mr. Samuel Adekoya, thank you. Please also remember to tag us on LinkedIn, tag me, Wali Adegoke, and Cordal Safety Consult. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining, and we appreciate your presence. And as usual, we'll count down. So if you can't download, I've already explained this thing 1001 times. If you can't download exercise patience, this thing can be frustrating. I'm trying to be this thing. We've already explained. Other people are downloading it. It's not my fault that you can't download. It is how it is. You will get it, you will download it. I've already explained this thing. There's nothing I can do from here. At least we have more than 50 people that have downloaded. Exercise patient, maybe midnight or tomorrow it will download or change your network. I've explained this thing more than 10 times now. It's not from my end that you can't download it. It is how it's how when more people want to access a particular link. That's how it happens. Please let's exercise patience and understand me too. I'm already tired. Thank you very much. Everybody do have a lovely night rest. You can share it, please. If you want the link, you chat me up on WhatsApp. You know me, you and I used to communicate. Chat me up on WhatsApp personally. I'll send you the link. I know Mr. Marino Billy personally. If you attended, I know those that attended here. If you can't download it, send me a DM. I will send you the link. We can't just post the link to every WhatsApp platform. Those that didn't attend to we get the link and also download certificate. It doesn't work that way. If you want it, send me a DM and I will send you this. I will send you the link. Thank you.